Hello everybody, Maven here, and I'm sure you've seen a Rime-Coat Raiment Build video or two. Basically every Destiny YouTuber has done one at this point, but today I'm going to hit you with a curveball. This is definitely going to be the most unique take on Rime-Coat Raiment you've probably seen because there's a lot of things that people are sleeping on. I scoured YouTube, and from what I've seen, most if not all people chose to use this exotic on Prismatic. I opted for Stasis, and one of the main focuses of my build is the Fighting Lion grenade launcher, and I found one other person on YouTube who had the Fighting Lion on their build, so props to them for knowing about the secret sauce. I'm telling you, if you are a believer of the Fighting Lion, this is the single best build for it in all of Destiny 2. So without further ado, let's break it down. Hope you enjoy. So we'll talk about the Fighting Lion later, but first let's focus on the Rime-Coat Raiment. Now, I'm 100% sure that you all already know what the Rime-Coat Raiment does, but a build video wouldn't be complete if I didn't at least read it, so let's do that. Your Bleak Watcher turrets are enhanced with extended range and are surrounded by stasis crystals and a storm. While standing in the storm, you are granted icicles over time. Icicles activate when you fire your weapons, applying slow to targets they hit. And the range on this thing is insane, as you can see here. It's a literal sniper rifle. It feels like your Bleak Watcher hits things that are like 50 meters away, something like that. And when you're standing near your Bleak Watcher, you get those stasis shots loaded in that square meter on the left side of your screen, and these things are actually insane. Testing it out against Carl, it only takes 2 shots to freeze him, which is really good for champions and tough content, because no matter what you shoot stuff with, you know you will do good damage because you're getting all that free shatter damage. That's why this is going to be a top pick for Grandmasters. But now we come to those 4 crystals around your Bleak Watcher. These 4 crystals spawn when you initially throw your Bleak Watcher, but they will respawn several seconds later, so you get 8 crystals per Bleak Watcher. Now there's a lot of reasons why I'm on Stasis over Prismatic, but the main reason is probably because of these crystals, because we're running the Whisper of Shards fragment. Gives us a plus 500% boosted grenade regen speed for up to 11 seconds after breaking our crystals, and it's refreshable. So with these constant respawning crystals, we basically have this buff up at all times. And when it comes to tougher endgame content, this is where I feel Stasis shines the most over Prismatic. Prismatic's main way of getting grenade regen is via Devour from Feed the Void. And yes, that is extremely good, but in tough content where stuff is tanky and you easily get one shot, you gotta play more defensively, not so aggressive. And Devour not only has only 11-second timer, but it's much harder to proc in that kind of content. And if you're moving from place to place, rezzing an ally, waiting on your abilities, setting up a Bleak Watcher and a Rift, you'll often lose Devour. And if you're using the faster charging nade, which is the healing nade, which most people use, that's unable to proc Devour. An Arcane Needle isn't the hardest hitting thing in tough content. You'll often have to play your range, which means your other melee options will be lacking in a lot of situations. So my point is that Prismatic's Bleak Watcher spam consistency dwindles as the content gets tougher. Now in the background gameplay, I'm going to show solo expert Nightfall gameplay, except I'm 21 power below because the season just started and I've done no pinnacle grinding, so it's almost as tough as a Grandmaster Nightfall, and you'll see why I prefer Stasis. Remember how I mentioned that Whisper of Shards is giving us that plus 500% bonus grenade regen at all times, literally quintupling our cooldown? Well, all we have to do is keep breaking crystals, which is completely effortless. We don't have to jump through hoops to proc Devour and keep it up, forcing ourselves to get kills every few seconds in order to spam Bleak Watchers. On Stasis, you can always spam Bleak Watchers, no matter what you do. You can keep the entire battlefield frozen forever, and those constant respawning crystals will really put in the work, just absolutely chunking things left and right, especially when paired along with the Fighting Lion, as you can see. The Fighting Lion makes it super easy to shatter all your crystals, and by the way, the Fighting Lion did get a buff recently, so now direct contact on an enemy causes a volatile explosion. So you get shatter and volatile going off at the same time, and the damage is massive, and I'll show you just how much damage it does here against Carl. We throw our Bleak Watcher, he gets surrounded by those 4 stasis crystals and freezes him immediately, dome him with 1 shot of primary ammo, and boom, nearly half of his health just gone. And comparing that to 1,000 voices with a solar ignition, and it did very slightly less. So Fighting Lion with Rime-Coat Raiment seriously dishes out a boatload of damage and ad clear with all the shatter and volatile. It's no joke, and it's primary ammo. And usually the tough thing about using Fighting Lion is that it's often tough to make direct impact with a GL because targets tend to move a lot, but since your Bleak Watchers keep everything frozen, they can stay the heck still so you can actually land your shots. and basically insta-kill most things in the game. It's pretty absurd. And on top of that, you'll get a free shot loaded back into the mag as well. And that kind of segues us into talking about how the Fighting Lion works, because this is hands down the most misunderstood weapon in Destiny history. It's extremely weird and works in ways that nobody can describe, probably not even the Bungie devs. This thing has hidden capabilities that are not written in the text of the weapon. Everything is hidden, but what I can do is give you a rundown of the basics, and I'll show you a few examples. So one thing that is actually labeled on the weapon is that multi-kills against grenade damage combatants will load a free shot, and yes, the Bleak Watcher does indeed count as a grenade damage source. Now the next thing, which is something that the weapon doesn't tell you, is that when you get a kill with another damage source, you will either A, get granted a free shot, or B, it will auto-load your Fighting Lion if the mag is empty, or C, it'll do both. As you can see in the gameplay, I fire off my Fighting Lion, swap to another weapon, get a kill, it will reload the Fighting Lion, pull it back out, shoot a shot, stow it, rinse and repeat. So it has somewhat of a pseudo auto-loading holster. Furthermore, if you do the same thing but you get 2 kills with another source, not only will it reload your Fighting Lion, but it will also grant you a free shot. As you can see, I get 2 kills with the commemoration, it auto-loads my Lion, and I can fire off 2 shots with it, then stow it, get 2 kills again, shoot 2 shots, rinse and repeat. So in a way, Fighting Lion was the first weapon in Destiny history to have Envious Assassin, because this is loosely what it is. And note that you don't necessarily have to get a kill with another weapon. It just has to be another source of damage other than Fighting Lion. As you can see here, I'm getting 2 kills with my uncharged melee, and I'm able to auto-load my Lion and get a free shot loaded. This also works with supers, abilities, etc, etc. Anything, as long as it's something other than the Lion. So you can basically keep it in your hands forever and not have to reload it. Now, one mistake you might make if you're a noob to Fighting Lion is that if you fire off your 2 shots and then reload it first before stowing it, you might think that you'll only need 1 kill with another source to load a free shot, but as you can see, it doesn't work. Whether you manual reload your Lion or not, you will always need 2 kills to be able to load a free shot back in. However, you know how I said that there's this weird cooldown thing that I have no clue how it works? Well, this logic I just explained only applies in constant combat, but if you start an encounter fresh, your initial 1 kill with another source will indeed load a free shot into the Lion, but subsequent single kills will not. Don't know if that made any sense to you, but it's the best way I can explain it. Now moving on to the biggest reason why Fighting Lion has such great synergy with Stasis builds. For some weird reason, Stasis crystals are like half-coded as enemies. So as you can see here, I make a few crystals, I break a few crystals, and those crystals were essentially treated as enemies, so my Fighting Lion will indeed get granted a free shot when I go damage something with it. Note that your shot has to connect for you to get a free shot. If you whiff, it won't, which is yet another thing added to the long list of things that are not written in the Fighting Lion's description. But yeah, it's so strange. Breaking crystals loads free shots. However, it will not auto-reload your Lion if you break them while you have 0 in the mag. So like I said, they're kind of half-coded as enemies, not fully coded. And here's another clip that proves the Fighting Lion works in extremely strange ways. Pay attention to the fact in this clip that I fire off 8 Fighting Lion shots without having to reload. Now don't get me wrong, I can explain a few of these instances, but there are some which make little sense. Sometimes the Fighting Lion will just feel generous and give you free shots for no reason, and if you watch this back, you'll notice that sometimes the free shots get loaded back into my mag instantaneously as we fire it, rather than when it hits a target. Just right out of the barrel, it refunds the shot, which breaks the rules of what I said before. But yeah, this happens sometimes with the Fighting Lion. It's a very mysterious weapon, and I did an entire deep dive video going over Fighting Lion mysteries because there's so many strange occurrences with this weapon. But one thing is for sure, it slaps with Stasis Crystal builds, and it absolutely slaps with Rime-Coat Raiment above all else. Seriously, don't sleep on the Fighting Lion for any Stasis build really. The fact that you can freeze things and keep them still so you can land your direct impact shots is extremely good. Now back to that solo expert Nightfall run, we're in the Ghost Room, and by the way, I don't have on Void Resist, so one single Scorn crossbow shot or Scorn nade will most definitely one-shot me at 21 power below, but it doesn't matter. because I can build a fortress of crystals to cover me constantly, and these Bleak Watchers are just freezing the entire room. Even the enemies that are all the way on the other side of the room, because the range on the Rime-Coat Raiment Bleak Watchers are insane, as I've shown before against Carl. And this little Stasis buddy is making it so I can easily take out those snipers and yellow bars on the other side of the room, because like I showed against Carl, it only takes 2 shots to freeze. Then I can shatter for some nice chunky DPS even with a simple scout rifle. This Stasis buddy is no joke. It really juices up your primary DPS and makes sure you always output consistent damage. And you also see me constantly breaking my crystals so that I always have up that Whisper of Shards buff to get fast Bleak Watchers. And if I was on Prismatic, I guarantee you I wouldn't be able to spam as many Bleak Watchers as this. In this difficulty of content, I'd be running out of Devour, having a few seconds without a turret, which is enough for the ads to swarm me, and I would die. But that's not a problem on Stasis. And another thing you might have noticed as well is that I've been spamming endless rifts, because we have 3 different things just feeding us constant rift energy. First of which is Whisper of Refraction. This says defeating slowed or frozen enemies grants class ability energy. And we got Bolstering Detonation on our gloves that says dealing damage with a grenade will refund some class ability energy. And yes, the Bleak Watcher damage does count. And finally, we got an artifact mod this season called Served Cold, which says picking up Stasis Shards grants class ability energy. So with these 3 things combined, we also have Pseudo Infinite Rifts, which are proccing Bomber on the class item to refund some grenade energy as well. And about that, we're also rocking Grenade Kickstart on our gloves. So here's a little clip of just how fast we can get our grenade back. So I throw my nade, I break a couple crystals to proc Whisper of Shards for 11 seconds, and then I place a rift for Bomber, and I get my nade back in just a few seconds. It's insane. Good luck doing that on Prismatic when you're facing down tanky ads from 50 plus meters away and fail to proc Devour. This is why Stasis is better and far more consistent in my opinion. But there's actually one final reason why I feel Stasis is better, and that's because of the 7 Stasis based artifact mods we have this season. There's a lot of Stasis energy, and half of them only work on Stasis and don't work on Prismatic. So let's take it from the top. We already talked about Served Cold, where picking up Stasis Shards grants Rift energy, and that's the reason that we're running the aspect Glacial Harvest, where Stasis Shards spawn when you freeze a combatant. Now, don't get me wrong, Ice Flare Bolts is an incredible aspect, and personally I feel it might be better in endgame content, and especially when this episode is over and we lose the artifact mods, but right now, generally having access to all these Stasis Shards is going to be much more beneficial, especially for Frost Armor. More on that in a second. Anyways, moving on with the artifact mods, we got Brain Freeze, which just randomly scatters dusk fields around the battlefield when you freeze things, which is really insane with the Fighting Lion. Next, we got Armor of Aramis, which says while Frost Armor is active, getting your shields broken will freeze everything around you, which is a very nice panic button. Then we got Hail the Storm, where shattering crystals will send these slowing projectiles, which has good synergy with Whisper of Refraction. Then we got Wind Chill, where rapid stasis weapon precision hits grant a stack of Frost Armor, and that's pretty easy to do with my weapon of choice in the top slot, which is a Trace Rifle. More on that in a bit. Then we got Crystalline Converter, another reason we want Glacial Harvest. That's going to make it so picking up shards charges a perk that releases a number of stasis crystals when you use your powered melee based on how much the perk was charged. And finally, one with Frost, which is just icing on the cake, no pun intended, and this just increases your reload speed and stability while you have Frost Armor. So as you can tell, the artifact mods are heavily geared towards Frost Armor, which you can much more utilize on Stasis, but not Prismatic. Plus, Frost Armor is making us tankier, helping our survival, granting 4.5% damage resist per stack up to 5 stacks, but we do have Whisper of Rime to increase our Frost Armor duration and limit up to 8 stacks for a grand total of 36% damage resist, which is very nice. And our final fragment that I didn't go over yet is Whisper of Torment, which grants us grenade energy when we take damage, but the effect is increased if we have Frost Armor, so another reason we want Glacial Harvest. And this fragment is extremely effective, guys. I tested with it and without it. When I had it on, I literally halved my grenade cooldown. Just entirely cut the cooldown in half. It's ridiculous. Yet another thing added to the list of why Stasis is more consistent than Prismatic. Now moving on to our mod setup, our main goal is to obtain armor charge to expend on Grenade Kickstart. So first off, we got charged up on the chest so we can hold up to 4 stacks of armor charge. Then we got stacks on stacks on our boots, so we only need 2 sources of armor charge to reach the max amount of stacks. So we can make orbs via Reaper on the class item and Stasis Siphon on the helmet, but our main source of armor charge is going to be Elemental Charge on the boots, which says that elemental pickups such as Stasis Shards mods, for example, give us a chance to get armor charge. Another reason why we want Glacial Harvest, as much as Ice Flare bolts would be nice. So that's the main theme of this mod setup. Aside from that, we got a ton of ability-based mods like Bolstering Detonation, Absolution, Bomber, and Outreach. Then we got some Stasis Synergy mods like Loader and Reserves, double Special Finder on the helmet, and you'll see why in a second. And finally, a Resist on the chest, which you can swap to whichever element you want depending on the content. For our stats, I recommend Tier 10 Resilience and Discipline, then hit those Intellect and Strength soft caps of Tier 3 and 2, then just dump the rest into Recovery. Now for my weapons of choice, aside from the Fighting Lion, the reason I got Stasis Reserves in the chest is because we're running double Stasis weapons in our other slots. For my kinetic slot, I got the Penance Trace Rifle with Demolitionist and High Ground. Now in the background gameplay, I had Demo Headstone, which 99% of people would argue is better because it has great Stasis synergy. But I just felt like I had so many crystals already that Headstone felt kind of unnecessary and excessive. And something like Killing Tally would be kind of tough to proc in tougher content, so I opted for some free damage with High Ground. And since a Trace is going to be our main ranged weapon, that's why we got double Special Finder, so we can spam our Trace without any issues. Anyways, moving on to our heavy weapon, we got the Vespers Host Dungeon GL, the Versus Chill Inhibitor, and I have Envious Arsenal and Explosive Light, but obviously I'd recommend Envious Bait if you have that role instead. I just don't have it yet. And that pretty much wraps up the build. Just eyeballing it, I think this is going to be about a 20-minute video, by far the longest build video I've ever done. Typically my videos are about 10 minutes long, but there was just so much to explain between the Stasis synergies and the science behind Fighting Lion. But if you have made it this far in the video, comment your favorite flavor of ice cream down below. So as always, the dim loadout link for this build will be down below in the description, and also the pinned comment if you'd like to give it a try. And if you got anybody who are Warlock mains, I'd appreciate if you share the video with them. This might be something they want to try out. And that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to drop a like and maybe subscribe if you're new. Would love to have you here for more build videos to come. Happy Halloween, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.